To make a genuine difference in the world, each one of us has to go onto a journey. And it's that journey that we take and the paths we decide to follow that impacts the people we meet. I want to share with you tonight a small part of my journey, but before I start, I want to ask a question. So I want you to put your hands up if you've never made a mistake in your life. If you never ever made some flicker here. If you've never ever made a mistake in your life, I want you to put your hand up. Now, of course, my mother is exempted from this because she is perfect. But most of us will agree that sometime in our lives we have made mistakes. I learnt many things from my late father in his lifetime, but I learnt more after his death in terms of how to implement that knowledge. In the last years of his life, many of you will be aware I had the honor to nurse him. I saw a strong and intelligent man deteriorate over a period of 12 months, and it affected me a great deal. I remember near the end of his life, people from across the world came to visit him in hospital, from all faiths and none, different ethnicities, different cultures, sexual orientation and ages. I was amazed by the breadth of friendships that he had as a person. But it was only after he passed away that I reflect on one of the greatest things he ever said to me that defines me as a person. He said to me, look at your close friends. Look at the close friends around you, and do they represent the world we live in today? I didn't really understand him, to be honest with you. It didn't really clock at the time. But in my younger days, if I was to invite friends for dinner, they would all be male, they would all be Asian, they would all be Muslim, and they would all be heterosexual. For some years, I didn't really think much about the friendship circles I was in, our religious beliefs, our worldviews, and to be honest with you, our prejudices were overwhelmingly similar. In some circumstances, it is easy for those prejudices to flourish and for ignorance to be unchallenged. When I look back, I regret some of the views that I had earlier in my life about the people that were different to me. Seeing that consciously changed who I was as a person. It is part of my personal journey to become a better person. It's not an excuse. It fuels my passion to bring people together and, more importantly, for those same mistakes not to happen again and pass on the legacy of my late father. I want to share with you tonight, if I can, just two stories in particular. Until recently, I never visited a temple. I had no friends from the Hindu faith. I never was taught to dislike Hindus. But in the bubble of my friends, it almost became a form of unconscious bias, a form of not knowing the other. But through my work with His Royal Highness, I developed a very close relationship with somebody who I think is one of the most gifted people I've had a chance to work with, who just happened to be a Hindu. So, to try to break down this form of unconscious prejudice, I challenged myself and I asked him, take me to your temple. I have to admit, I felt very outside of my comfort zone. But going there was one of the most enriching experiences I've ever had in my life. It opened my mind to the fact that sometimes each one of us in this room has to challenge our own prejudices. The easiest way to do this is to look at our friends. Turn to the right and to the left. Do they look the same? Do they sound the same? Do they hold the same views? If we really want to make this world a better place, we have to start with ourselves. We have to challenge our unconscious prejudices, but more importantly, I'm afraid we have to challenge the conscious prejudice each one of us holds. The second story I want to share with you is that never giving up. My late father was very close to Dr. Roy Shah, who's sitting at the front, and she was the joint deputy head of my father at one of the schools they were teaching, and one of the first Jewish female head teachers in the UK. Now, Dr. Roy and I had some of the most opposing views when it came to the Middle East. Now, growing up, whenever she saw me on television, whenever she read an article that was quoted, she would be the first person that would call me. And she would always say to me, you know what, Horace, fantastic points, but you're absolutely wrong with everything that you said. She never gave up on me. She never wrote me off. And in fact, when my father passed away, I can't think of any one individual who has supported me personally and supported the foundation more than Dr. Shah. That showed me that you don't have to agree with everything a person says to consider them to be a good friend. In fact, if you surround yourself with people who challenge your thoughts and ideas, you become a better person. Now, while I admit Auntie Roy hasn't changed her views at all in the last 40 years, I have moved towards her views and her understanding of the situations. And I'm proud to say that tonight we're announcing Dr. Roy is our chair of our new foundation, and I know my father will be extremely happy for that. Now, the reasons I'm sharing these stories with you tonight is because I share these stories with the young people that I mentor. It's not about me. We can't write off the young people for the mistakes that they make. None of us would want to write them off, but unfortunately, many of us do. So this is my wake-up call to everybody in this room here tonight. The young people we support through the foundation face many challenges. Some have even thought about committing suicide for the mistakes that they've made. We teach them the first thing is to learn how to forgive yourself. We all make mistakes. We shouldn't write off a young person for a tweet that they might send or for a statement they might make in anger. We teach them to forgive themselves first, have the courage for each one of us to share that we make mistakes. How did we deal with them? How do we move forward to become better people? And more importantly, show them that if we can do it, so can they. One of our mentees, who actually said to me he wasn't going to be here tonight, sent a message. I'm not going to embarrass this person because he's actually now present, but he sent a message saying, I lacked self-belief and confidence, and in all honesty, I didn't see a bright future for myself. The foundation completely changed my life. In truth, it changed my whole family's life. I now have belief and self-confidence to make a change. I know I can shape my own future. The foundation has made a difference to thousands of young people, raising their aspirations, helping them to learn from their mistakes. We bring young people from all faiths and none, not just Muslim, Christians and Jews, but also minority faith communities and those sects within major communities who face some of the greatest forms of prejudices and discrimination and also being marginalized. If that includes Ahmadiyya, Zoroastrian and Jain youth as well. We bring young people from all backgrounds together to help them break down their own prejudices and show them we have more in common. In conclusion, most of us would realize the value of the foundation, but I have learned the most from the foundation more than anyone else. I have learned every single day with the young people that I'm honored to be with. They teach me and they enable me to open my mind. I have been on a journey and I'm very grateful for that journey. But when I look at this room now and you look at the people around you, this room is full of people from all backgrounds, all faiths and none, all ethnicities, all sexual orientations, and all ages. So if I can learn from my mistakes, each one of you in this room can also learn from your mistakes. And I'm honored to call all of you my friends.